Bertrand, welcome to Trade Finance Talks TV.
Thank you very much. Real pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
Great to have you here in Bristol. So, to start off with a quick elevator pitch, can you tell me in a few seconds who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Well, my accent says it all. I am from Spain. My name is Bertrand de Comminges, pronounced in English, and I'm the leading investment manager for trade finance assets in Santander Asset Management.
Thank you very much, Bertrand. So let's get straight into it. And obviously, supply chain finance has had, and supply chains have been disrupted so heavily as a result of the pandemic. Can you give a quick overview of what you've seen over the past 18 months and how they've responded?
Yeah, actually, I think supply chain finance has responded very well. Of course, depends on the industry. There were some industries that stopped altogether. Other industries did very, very well. And we have seen those programs growing, in other cases being reduced. But overall, from an investment manager perspective, the performance has been extraordinary. In our analysis, in our portfolio, we have seen no defaults whatsoever. And actually, this has been the blood of the economy. The economy has kept going on, and many mid-sized companies have had access to liquidity thanks to these programs from the big global players, their buyers.
No, very interesting. But I guess given the fact that supply chains themselves have been heavily disrupted. You've seen the restrictions on the physical movement of goods. Surely that's impacted some of the programs in terms of new suppliers, etc., etc.
Indeed, some of the programs were impacted. But at the end of the day, to keep the economy running, you need to fuel it rightly with the right level of liquidity and money. And we have seen industries as well that have thrilled through the pandemic. They are much needed now because we are all working from home, or we were all working from home 1 month ago.
It's very strange talking to you here in person now. And in terms of the lending appetite, have lenders pulled out of the market? Have you seen any changes there?
We are still, as an investment manager, have lots of appetite. Actually, in many occasions, our major challenge is that our investors want to invest much more than today our funds can allow it. The funds are growing dynamically, steadily, and we want to do that in that fashion. And there's lots of interest. So our perception from investment managers is actually not. There's lots of interest in this asset.
Absolutely, and I mean, look, it's reflected in the ICC trade register, and you've seen that slow but steady but continued growth of supply chain finance versus other assets such as trade finance. So it's
Indeed, this is the economy. The economy keeps going.
And what about on the demand side? Have you seen demand for supply chain finance programs growing since the start of the pandemic?
Well, there have been a few hiccups due to some cases we all know in the industry for wrongly named funds, named supply chain finance, where one may argue probably they were not supply chain finance at all. Mm-hmm. And if they were, who knows who was the. But what is now, there is lots of education and discussion with investors. They want to know, and we are able to provide. It's very important in our industry to have investment managers that truly understand the asset, who have expertise of many years actually doing this business themselves.
And from a bank perspective, or sorry, from a corporate perspective, the usage of supply chain finance, obviously you've got that dual use. One, first and foremost, is probably providing your suppliers with liquidity. You know, you're looking at reducing the days payable outstanding and optimizing that cash conversion cycle. On the other hand, you also see the preferential accounting treatment in terms of that balance sheet treatment. What are the main reasons your corporates will use supply chain finance?
It is, at the end of the day, it is a working capital play. It is about liquidity. If you can use the money of others, why will you use your own money? If it's at the right competitive rates. Let's be honest, return on capital employment, return on investment of many of these corporates is double digit in many occasions. Supply chain finance in itself, while you are supporting strategic suppliers with liquidity, it is not that expensive. It's a pretty competitive source of liquidity for your suppliers. And therefore, as a corporate, you can dedicate that money to run your business in more profitable areas.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And how do you see supply chain finance evolving?
Well, it will keep growing, definitely. I'm a Spanish myself. The first deal I did in supply chain finance was in the 90s.
Wow.
So what can I say? It is 20-something years now. And that program is still there. It keeps growing. It keeps expanding globally. And it's a question about jurisdiction. It's a question about new technologies, making life easier. Fraud risks is very well contained in supply chain finance. The question will be to make it more accessible to smaller players, because of course there are economies of scale and there are overheads of implementing supply chain. So if we really want to go into smaller companies, good profitable smaller companies, technology will have a play definitely on those.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you found your corporate clients have been more demanding since the start of the pandemic and perhaps asking for more products that will help their
Let me correct you. My corporate investors
Yes,
love supply chain finance because they use it today. And they know that they always pay. Sometimes there is a delay, yes, because there is a weekend or there is a bank holiday. But this is a necessary source of working capital in their businesses and that of their suppliers and their customers. So this is fundamental, and they like it because they understand it.
No, that's really, really good to know. Bertrand, thank you very much for joining us on Trade Finance Talk TV. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here in Bristol.
My pleasure. It's a lovely city, actually. Thank you.